Hey, I'm Allison, and this is Realistically Consistent, where we talk about how to build sustainable fitness, nutrition, and mindset habits that actually last even as a busy mom. I'm here to help get you consistent, not perfect, and on your way to feeling like your best self. I'm so excited to start today's episode with you. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Realistically Consistent. So, I missed last week's episode, and I just was thinking before I started recording this how perfect that is for the name of the show, because I had set a goal for myself over a month ago when I started this podcast to record every single week. And I've been so proud of myself for getting those episodes out there every single week, no matter what happens with my baby or my lack of sleep or my kids or anything else. I haven't let it stop me. Well, last week, as you know, was Christmas. And things just got so hectic. All three of my kids are home. It is just constantly loud and chaotic in my house. And I didn't get an episode out last week. And in the spirit of consistency, that kind of ruined the consistency piece for it, And I was thinking this week, do I do it? I'm so bummed I didn't get it out last week. And normally I feel like, especially if we're talking, weight loss goals or fitness goals, health goals, whatever, this would let us kind of derail that progress and say, you know what, I ruined it all, right? I feel like sometimes we treat our health and fitness goals like a 75 hard. And it's like, you know what, the second I mess up, then it's just all over. And instead of throwing in the towel, I'm thinking, who's even going to notice if I don't record an episode? I don't have to do this. No one's holding me accountable to this. Instead of thinking those things, I thought in the spirit of consistency, so we hit a blip in the road. We're going to get right back on track and we're going to keep recording because I was, again, lucky enough today to get some babysitter for all three of my kids. So I had some time to sit down and record. And then next week, my kids are back in school and we're going to have to figure something out for the summer when all three of my kids are home. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And so here I am back on the wagon. And it's not like I ever even fell off. It's just we hit a little blip. And this is what consistency looks like. It's doing what works for you and showing up in the capacity that works for you, no matter what, even if it means that you had a down week. So I am excited to be back and I am excited to share today's topic with you. But just super quick before we dive into that, knowing this time of year and knowing what's going on right now, New Year's is coming up. New Year's Eve is in 2 days. And then we're all kind of starting fresh. However, personally, I feel like those few days after New Year's are always kind of weird because in this case, this year, New Year's Day is on a Wednesday. Not only that, but New Year's Day, everyone's still kind of treating it like a holiday. We're recovering from New Year's Eve. Maybe you're still meeting up with family, you're going out and eating those kinds of things. So it's kind of a wash. And some people would be like, I'll start tomorrow. The second you are starting your year off saying, I'll start tomorrow, but then tomorrow's a Thursday. And then it's basically the weekend. And then it's okay, maybe I'll just start on Monday. And here we are back in the cycle again of I'll just start on Monday. So what if we started this year, maybe even with that plan of I'm done starting over. This doesn't have to be a big kickoff thing of I'm starting my diet today or I'm starting my diet on Monday. This is just in the spirit of we're going to make this year a healthier year. And we're just going to make the best decisions that we can make for ourselves and just be 1% better. So even if it is New Year's Eve, you're making that 1% better of a decision to drink more water in between drinks. Great. If on New Year's Day you are turning down an extra helping, that's a step in the right direction. It doesn't have to be this big transformation. It's just making small, better choices throughout the year. Now, I do understand too, though, committing and making that big decision and saying, I want to take back control. I want to have the information that I need to really take back control. And if that is you this year, then my 21 days to realistic consistency is going to be such a perfect place for you to start this year. So I want to encourage you, pause this episode. If my episodes have resonated with you so far, you follow me on Instagram and see the work that I've done with clients, then this 21 days can be that perfect kickstart where you will get everything that you need to know for nutrition. You will get a workout plan that you can design to fit your needs. So whether you want 3, 4, or 5 days of workouts, you want to be able to do them at home with just a few dumbbells. You want to know how to customize the weight sizes to meet your needs. all of those things, and then tons of mindset stuff are within this challenge. And so, like I said, it is that perfect kicking off point to give you all of that information you need to really take back control. And again, we talk about through all these episodes, just be consistent with it. It's never going to look perfect. We're always shooting for progress over perfection. So you can check it out at my website at AllisonHaleyFitness.com/21 days 2. That's TORC. So you can go there and you can get that. It is on sale for the rest of the week. So I highly encourage you to go in there and grab that too. With that, we're going to dive into today's content. And as I promised in the last episode, where we talked all about, are you eating too much without recognizing it, how every bite counts? Today, we're going to talk about how you might not be eating enough. So I have a question for you. Do you feel like you are barely eating and you're still struggling to hit your fat loss goals, your weight loss goals, your muscle gains goals? And again, you're just walking around saying, I don't understand. I barely eat. I skip meals all the time. And I am definitely in a calorie deficit. I don't understand why I'm not hitting my goals. If you find yourself thinking these things, saying these things out loud, today's episode is going to be for you. So in my last episode, like I said, we talked about how every bite counts. And one of the things that I recommended you do is sit down and really track everything that you are eating so that you can really get a good picture, because sometimes we don't really recognize how much or even how little we're eating until we do sit down and write down every single thing that we are putting in our bodies throughout the day, especially those things where it's like one pretzel doesn't count because, it's whatever excuse that we make up in our brains. And believe me, I'm guilty of that too. But sit down and write out everything that you have in a day for a few days, because not every day is exactly the same. And take a look. Are you genuinely in a caloric deficit, or are your calories really low? Are you genuinely not eating very much in the day? And if that is the case, and you do have weight loss, fat loss goals, you want to build muscle goals, and you're not hitting any of those, then I want you to consider that you may need to start eating more in order to lose weight. And I know it sounds really counterintuitive, especially if you grew up in the 90s like I did, in the early 2000s, where everybody was just pushing on you, eat less, eat less, eat less. That is not the case. That is not always the case. Again, everybody is totally different, but it could be that you need to eat more, and you need to eat more of the right foods. So I want to talk about, not only in my own experience of going through and being more intentional and eating more calories and more specific calories throughout my day, helped me to shed fat and hit my goals, not just for me, but for other clients that I've worked with as well. And how those same clients said, are you sure? This is so much more than I normally eat. And those same clients would come back to me just a couple weeks later, telling me how the fat was just melting off. They couldn't believe that they were eating more and seeing these results. So when we are not getting enough nutrients, what can happen is our metabolisms can start to shut down and slow down and start to go into survival mode. And so what that means is they're thinking, this girl is not feeding me enough. I don't know where my next meal is going to come from, what it's going to be, if the right nutrients are going to be in there. We need to make sure that we are just storing everything that we possibly can. It's in survival mode, and it is in storage mode. So every time that you do eat, then it's taking them and thinking, all right, again, we don't know where our next meal is coming from. We better make sure that we're storing a good amount of these calories that we're getting in right now. And then when you're not eating, it's thinking, oh my gosh, why aren't we eating? We better keep storing. And then, like I said, too, the other thing to consider is if you are thinking, okay, I'm barely eating, well, what are most of those calories? Are they a lot of processed calories, or are they whole foods calories? Are they diverse whole foods calories where you are hitting all of your macronutrients? And that's something that we're going to talk about more today as well, is what are those macronutrients? What do they even do? What do they mean? And what they're doing for your body. But something else that I think is often sometimes overlooked that really throws our metabolism off as well is alcohol. Especially as we age. I know I personally, especially before I even had kids, I could come home and drink a glass of wine every night and it barely affect me. Now I am 3 kids later, 7 years later, I'm in my 30s. And if I have even a single glass of wine, sometimes my sleep is completely thrown off. I feel bloated. My mood is off. My cravings are off. And I just all around don't feel good. That is from a single drink. Again, it's such a 180 from how my body responded to alcohol before, but alcohol affects our metabolisms more than anything. And so when I say, because I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm not going to give up wine. I'm not going to give up cocktails. I personally find so much enjoyment in those things and understand that there are consequences that come with them. And for me, sometimes those consequences are worth it because I know how to get back on track. And I also know that I've gotten my metabolism in a place where it doesn't get completely derailed by a couple of drinks. If your metabolism already isn't optimized for your body, that one drink can absolutely send you even more into a tailspin and make it even more difficult to get yourself back into a place of feeling good. But with that being said, I have made a commitment to not drinking unless I am planning for it, for a social event, or for something along that nature. I don't drink nearly as much as I used to, and I feel 20 times better and know that my metabolism is once again working for me. And that is just one of the choices that I've made to make sure that my metabolism is going to be working for me. So then talking about the macronutrients, again, everything is really directly tied to our gut. We want to make sure that we have a balanced gut, and we want to make sure that we are getting all of the proper nutrients. You've probably heard people talking about tracking macros before. And if you don't know what that means, when we are tracking macros, we're tracking the 3 biggest macronutrients. So the first biggest macronutrient is going to be protein. Those proteins are there to help build and support muscle growth, tissue growth, repair organs, supports immune function. It helps produce your enzymes and your hormones, and is really just one of the primary macronutrients that we need to get on a daily basis. And we're going to talk about how much you need there as well. Carbs, carbohydrates, are actually your body's main energy source. I feel like everybody's always afraid of carbs, but this is where, especially if you are working out, especially if you love cardio, love classes like that, carbs are not where we want to cut corners. We want to make sure that we're getting those carbs in because, like I said, they are your main energy source. They fuel your brain, your muscles, your nervous system. That is what is breaking down into glucose, which your body then uses for immediate energy, or it stores as glycogen in your muscles and your liver. Now, everybody freaks out about them because when we think carbs, we think breads and pastas. And yeah, those are not always the best carbs, especially when they are the white breads, the white pastas, and they are coming from highly, highly processed places. We want your carbs to be coming from complex carbs. That's your fruits and your veggies and your grains and your legumes. Things like that are the complex carbs where we want to make sure that we are getting plenty of them to, again, store that for your energy levels. A side note of carbs is actually another subcategory of this macronutrient is fiber. And this, I think, is starting to get talked about a little bit more because fiber is so, so critical as well. But fiber is what is going to help you balance your blood sugar. It's going to help you lower your cholesterol and promote healthy gut and digestion. Women should honestly be eating anywhere from 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. So again, when you're tracking or you're taking a look at what you're eating, take a look at how much fiber as well, because that is directly linked to your energy levels. Again, that blood sugar is super, super important for your energy. If you are noticing spikes in your energy and then extreme drops in your energy, that's coming directly from your blood sugar spiking and dropping. And there are ways that we can control this as well. And then the last macronutrients are fats, and we want healthy fats like avocados and nuts and olive oils. But remember that that is the smallest portion size that we need. Now, fats help support your hormone function. Fats help support your hormone production and your nutrient absorption. And this is what's going to provide long-term energy. So I do encourage you again to think all of these things are going to be coming from as many whole foods as we possibly can get. So how much of your diet is from whole foods? How much of your diet is from processed foods? And like I've said in the past, one of the ways that you can tell if your body is getting enough of these nutrients is just by purely listening to your body. How is your sleep? How is your hunger, your cravings? How is your mood, your energy levels? If any of those things feel like they are thrown off, it is almost always directly tied to the nutrition that you're getting. The other thing that it could be tied to is also your movement. If you're not moving your body at all, that's drastically going to affect your mental health, your energy levels, all of those things as well. So, taking that into consideration for sure, but definitely take a look at the nutrients that you are feeding your body with on a daily basis. Now, if you are someone who likes to push yourself and you like to work out multiple times a week, whether you are lifting or doing boot camp classes or cardio or anything along those lines, if you are somebody who is still kind of stuck in that way of thinking of move more, eat less, then you are again throwing your metabolism into a complete tailspin, even worse. Because not only are you putting your body into survival mode, it's kind of that constant fight or flight mode where your cortisol levels are going to skyrocket because you're putting so much stress on your body. And then you're also not fueling it on top of that, which makes your body want to store even more. And again, going back to that weightlifting, when you are weightlifting, when you're weight training, you are creating all of these tiny little micro tears in your muscles. And your body needs to go then and repair them in order to help them grow, help you get stronger, help that workout actually be effective. And the first thing that it sends to those muscles are proteins. And so if you are not eating enough protein in the day to support the workout that you are doing, that workout is going to be completely, I shouldn't say completely, but highly ineffective. You're probably going to feel sore for a lot longer. You're going to really struggle to get that muscle growth, to get that toned physique. Because again, I think people are starting to recognize that it's not just those, bar workouts or light weights at high reps that's going to get you that toned physique. It's genuinely lifting heavy weights. And if your body can't support lifting those heavy weights, you're not going to get that toned physique that you might have goals of reaching. You need to be able to lift heavy weights. And in order to lift heavy weights, you need to support your body's repair of those micro tears that you're getting so that you can continue to lift heavier weights. And that is only going to be able to be done by getting enough protein. And not only that, but when you're not getting enough protein, your metabolism is at risk of slowing down even more again. And also your hormone balance can be completely disrupted. As we mentioned before, proteins are directly tied to your hormone production. So if you have less protein in your body, you can now be at risk for producing lower growth hormones. You will notice dips in your mood and your motivation because of that, and likely have increased hunger and cravings because this is your body's way of signaling for more nutrients. And another one of those signs of not getting enough nutrients is if you are lifting weights and you are thinking, okay, I'm lifting heavier and I'm still feeling like I'm hitting a plateau. Maybe you are hitting that plateau because your body, again, just isn't getting enough nutrients. So if any of that sounds familiar, if you've noticed any of that going on with your body, not being able to hit your goals, then this is where I would start first. Start number one, tracking so you know exactly how much protein that you're getting in a day. Use an app like MyFitnessPal. I highly recommend because again, you can absolutely record yourself and take a look at, amounts on packages and things like that. However, I think sometimes it's overlooked how much protein is in certain whole foods like vegetables and, grains and things like that, where we don't necessarily directly think of it as a protein source, but it has protein in there. And like we kind of said in the last episode, every little bit adds up. And so that's why I always encourage you to track using an app because it's going to make sure that it's taking all of those additional protein calories into account. So you really want to get your protein up. Again, eventually we want to start slow and build over time, but your goal should be eating 1 gram of protein per pound of lean muscle mass or body weight that you have. And so a couple ways that you can do this. You can always ask your doctor to calculate what your lean muscle mass would be, or you can kind of guesstimate it a little bit based off of what your ideal body weight should be based off of your age and height. So again, you're here likely because you're struggling with consistency. You don't need another meal plan. You don't need to try and skyrocket your protein tomorrow and continue keeping up with that for the rest of your life. Because again, if you are right now eating only 50 grams of protein a day and you go and try to hit 120 grams of protein a day from here on out, that's not going to feel sustainable for you. So we want to make sure that we are starting small. We want to make sure that you are taking what you're already doing and just amplify that a little bit. So if you like yogurt, you like cottage cheese, you like chicken, you like fish, any of those things that are high in protein, just add it back into your diet a little bit more. I think something that is so overlooked is just be boring. Do the same thing as much as you can. I have the same yogurt bowl for a snack every single day. I switch up the fruit sometimes. I switch up the kind of granola that I use in it, or seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, whatever. I switch that up from time to time. I have a yogurt bowl almost every single day. I have a protein bar almost every single day. Now, again, protein bars, protein shakes, those can be great to supplement to help you reach that number, but it's never something that I would rely on for the rest of your life to hit protein goals. I would always make sure that you are ultimately focusing on trying to hit that protein through whole foods as much as you possibly can. But again, to start, especially if you're supporting workouts, you're trying to overcome a plateau, trying to reach goals, protein shakes, protein drinks, powders, things like that, bars can be absolutely a great way to supplement and get that number a little bit higher while you get used to adding protein in more natural ways. And so again, I really, really encourage you to sort of work through overcoming some of that fear about eating too much and just think, you're already not seeing results right now anyways. What is it going to hurt to try something new that could absolutely not just help you hit your goals, but benefit your body and benefit your metabolism in so, so many ways? We want to make sure, first and foremost, that your body is healthy. And so while I talk to goals and everything, which I 100% believe you have every right to have, weight loss goals, body physique goals, all of those things, number one, first and foremost, is how we feel. How do we feel in our body? How is our mood, our energy, our sleep, right? How are all of those things stacking up? Because how you feel is going to directly impact then your ability to hit those goals. And if you don't feel great right now, your body is screaming at you to get more nutrients. And I've worked with so many clients, number one, who say, oh my gosh, I just not very good about getting vegetables in or fruits in or whatever. Figure out a way to get good at them. Figure out a couple veggies that you like, a couple different fruits that you like, and even if it's the same thing every single week, start adding them into your diet because you need to make sure that your body is getting that balanced nutrition that it is begging you for. And if you are somebody who needs accountability, you need help, you need it laid out for you, you need to say, hey, this is what my lifestyle looks like. I need somebody to just tell me what to do. What workout should I do? How should I get my nutrition back on track in a slow way that grows with me over time? If you need somebody to work with you one-on-one, I do open up 2 spots a month. I currently am opening up 2 more spots for the month of January. So if you want to start this year off right, then you can put in an application to work with me one-on-one on my website, AllisonHaleyFitness.com. Like I said, I am linking both of those sites in the show notes for you. And as always, I thank you so much for tuning in and listening today. If this episode helped you, resonated with you, I really encourage you to leave a review and share it with a friend that you think it might help as well. Thank you again so much. See you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Realistically Consistent. If today's episode helped you, please hit subscribe and leave a quick rating as it helps more moms find the show. You can visit AllisonHaleyFitness.com for more tools, tips, and ways to stay connected. And just as a quick reminder, I'm here to share general information and encouragement, but this podcast isn't meant to replace professional medical or health advice. Everyone's circumstances are different, so be sure to check in with your trusted healthcare provider before making any big changes. Thanks again for being here, and until next time, keep showing up for yourself one realistic step at a time.